right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again. All right, for your spiritual vitamins. Shout out to Shalvit in the house, Claudette, All Hell Nog, Khalid, Mr. Hotel. All right, Kathy B, Silent D. Shout out to my moderators. Okay, so let's get into it. Beloveds. We're going to be talking about the dark side of your spiritual awakening. And this is something people don't often talk about, but there in fact is the dark side, and you have to push through it. Okay, so we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share this video. And for those of you who are members of the channel, there's a members only broadcast coming up right after this one. Okay, it starts at 1:45. I already sent you the emails if I have your email. And if not, Silent D, because you put the link in the chat, beloved. Okay, for those who may not have gotten it from their emails, in their emails. Okay, so let's talk about it. I'm going to tell you a few things that you may notice as you're on your spiritual journey. Some of the things that pertain to the dark side of your spiritual awakening. The first thing you may notice is sensitivity. Okay, you may find yourself being hypersensitive to all sorts of energy. And that can include picking up negative energy from other people. Sometimes you'll feel drained, okay? You'll have this manifest not only in mental, but as well as physical symptoms, including anxiety, depression, insomnia, and things like that. And this is all because as you're becoming more spiritually in tune, your sensitivity will increase. It'll increase because now you're more aware of things around you and you're more receptive to things. Okay? And so you have to be careful because at this point, energy is contagious. And so when you start your spiritual journey, I told you before, we have to separate ourselves from certain people. You don't have to cut them off. You just don't want to be around them as much. Okay? And likely this will just come natural because that's another part of the spiritual awakening that some consider to be the dark side. Okay? Because you start to lose relationships with certain people because they no longer resonate with you. You don't feel like there's much that you both have in common, or you and certain people could be more than one or two people. You may start to feel that you don't have anything in common with these people anymore. That they're on a whole nother path than you are. You're not seeing eye to eye. They no longer resonate with your spirit. You feel a shift in the energy. And this can leave you feeling alone or isolated. So that's kind of a dark side too. And the thing is, when I first started my awakening and I started realizing different things and understanding things in a different way, people in my family, I felt isolated from some of them because some of them didn't understand the things that I was talking about. They weren't receptive to it. They didn't want to get rid of old habits and traditions and, beliefs that they've been indoctrinated to believe in. And so they couldn't understand why I was doing this. And so it made me almost feel like a black sheep because they were still engaged in all the things that I decided to put away because I knew those things didn't serve me. So you may find yourself feeling a little bit isolated at some points. Now, also, you may no longer, like I said, you may no longer want to entertain certain people. Another thing is when you start doing your shadow work, and all of you should be doing your shadow work, by the way. Okay. When you start doing your shadow work, that can be a dark side too, because you find yourself sometimes reliving old traumas, being reminded of painful memories. You'll start to find that some suppressed emotions start to arise up in you. Some of your insecurities may come back, right? Or you may be thinking on them. But at the end of the day, though this may seem like a difficult process, it's a reward because this is only going to serve to make you a better person, make you stronger, and teach you discipline. And all these things that are rising up within you are things that you need to get away from, that you need to rid yourself of. Pessimistic mindsets, low vibrational energies, talking down to yourself. You need to replace that with positive affirmations and positive self-talk. And then, this is only going to make you better. Like I said, it's going to make you stronger. Another thing that people sometimes engage in that is part of the dark side is spiritual bypassing. You see, spiritual bypassing is when people want to use spirituality in order to avoid reality. You see, some people think that because they burn sage or basil, because they meditate, or because they, say a few affirmations daily, they think that they're actually doing the work. Now, those things are good to do, but you have to be working from the inside out. You can't just be sitting there saying, I'm doing my spiritual practices, but you're not doing the real work, because the real work is psychological. The real work starts from within, and it starts with your mindset. You have to start changing your mind, which means you have to start changing the way you think. I remember the video that I did about metacognition. That is thinking about the way that you think. Thinking about how you interpret things, how you receive things, how you analyze things, and all of that. And how you perceive things. Okay? These are all things that you have to be thinking about. Salon D said, I have to work on that myself. Absolutely. We all do. We all do. Because here's the thing. Spiritual bypassing is basically when someone is not, getting rid of the negativity. They're just doing things. They're just doing spiritual things, and they're trying to hide behind that. They're going out and buying crystal jewelry. They're wearing it. They're burning their sage. But that's all fine. Like I said, that's all a part of it. But you have to be actively working on your inner self, which includes positive affirmations, changing negative thought patterns into positive ones, removing yourself from negative places and spaces with negative people, and all of those things. You have to be doing all of that for these other things to work. Because think about it. How can you really be practicing meditation effectively when you have all of this clutter inside your mind? When you have all of this negativity still within you, how can that be effective? You understand what I'm saying? So you have to be doing the work from the inside out. That's how that goes. And another one of the negative things, or one of the dark sides of spirituality, is that when you open the third eye, when your pineal gland is activated and your third eye actually opens, now you can see into other realms of dimensions. Okay, you can see into other dimensions. And some of the things you see are not pleasant. I'm sure you've heard of people saying that when they open their third eye, they could see demons, malevolent spirits. Well, you can. But you don't need to be afraid, because we have power and dominion over these beings. But at the end of the day, they're a part of the spiritual realm. There's good and bad things in the spiritual realm, just like there's good and bad things right here. And at the end of the day, when you can tap into those other realms of existence after you've opened the third eye, well, that will often make demons more prone to want to attack you. Because remember what I told you yesterday about them attacking people who have spiritual gifts. Because this is what they do. So you have to be sure, you have to understand how to prepare yourself for spiritual warfare. Now, I know this may sound scary to some, but this is just all a part of it. And when your third eye is open, you really should know that you don't have to fear these things. Because the third eye opening gives you an extra boost of power and protection. Okay, you can see these things, but you can also defend yourself against them much stronger than you could when your third eye is not open. Because here's the thing. When your third eye isn't open, these demons are around you. They're around us all. Maybe they come from other people. Maybe they come from things that we've done in the past, portals that we've unwittingly opened, and they may attach themselves to us, or maybe sometimes they just show up. But at the end of the day, when your third eye isn't open, well, they'll be there. You just won't be able to see them. You see, that's the advantage of the third eye being open. So you don't need to be afraid, because if they're around you and you can't see them, then you may be wondering why everything is going wrong for you. Why everything is, just going the opposite of how you want it to go. Why you're having trouble focusing and disciplining yourself. Why you're having issues trying to manifest things. Because these beings are there, you just can't see them. But once you open the third eye, then you can see them. And once you see them and know that they're there, well, now you can defend yourself better. Okay? So just keep that in mind. But also, let's talk about escapism. Because to me, escapism is very similar to spiritual bypassing. Escapism, that's one aspect of that shadowy self, the darker side of self or spirituality. That's when you're using spirituality to basically run and hide, okay, to avoid certain issues. We create a bubble for ourselves sometimes, a bubble of positivity. That can be good, of course. That's what it's all about. But some people create a bubble to try to hide from reality because they don't want to face things that they know they need to face. How do you heal from trauma? Well, you have to face it. You can't just bury it deep inside. It's still there. And then certain things will happen that trigger you. And then now here it comes. So you have to be trying to do the work. Now, we try to cultivate positive thoughts and emotions. And every time a negative emotion comes up, that's what you have to do. Try to counter it with something positive, and then sometimes we shut it out because it might affect our vibration. Okay, that's what you should be trying to do. And let me tell you something. I heard Diana Ross say one time during an interview, this was an old interview. She probably did this back in the 70s, but I heard this maybe a couple of years ago. She was doing an interview and she talked about how every time she tries to think a positive thought, a negative thought shows up. And I want you to pay attention to that because I'm sure that's happened to all of you because it happens to me all the time. You can be saying, oh, I'm going to be so successful. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then something will come up and say, no, you're not. You can't do that. There's somebody that already does it better than you. So when you have these thoughts come up, like Diana Ross said, it's what you focus your energy on, what you focus your thoughts on, what you tend to give power to. So if you're thinking positively and a negative thought shows up, as they often do, are you going to think on the positive or are you going to be distracted by the negative? You see, because if you allow yourself to be distracted by the negative, then likely that's what's going to happen, something negative and not what you want to. So you have to focus your energies and thoughts and efforts on the positives. Now, calling ourselves spiritual, but not understanding what spirituality really is, this is what some people do, right? And I did a video explaining what exactly spirituality is. But when you call yourself spiritual and you don't really understand what it is, that's escapism. Okay, that's what it is. Because you have to evolve. And the only way you evolve is to have growth and by shedding the darkness and walking into the light. And that's what spirituality is all about. It's like getting rid of all the negative aspects. Well, we can't get rid of all of them. We know that. But trying to focus your energy on the positive aspects more so than the negative, like I just said. But also, you have to try to be more upbeat and more positive, and you have to be trying to discipline yourself to do the things that you need to do, and rather than making excuses. Now, then the opposite end of the shadow spectrum is all about, being obsessed with personal development or shadow work. It's about constantly wanting to snuff out our dark side so that we can understand it so that we can heal from it. But the healing might not actually occur for several reasons. And some of those reasons are we may be overanalyzing. Okay, we may be overanalyzing our shadows more from an intellectual perspective than anything else. Okay, it's not translating. Okay, it's not translating into deep transmutation work. It's just like basically mental gymnastics, like you're just playing games with yourself. Okay, where the brain is conjuring all sorts of stories to force an understanding of why we're experiencing negative emotions. And see, when that's happening, that's because you're being distracted. You're being distracted by the negativity. You're allowing the negativity to overcome you, so much so that that's all you can focus your thoughts and energy on. But you have to get away from that. And I keep reiterating this because it's very hard to do. It's very hard to do, especially in a world where negativity often thrives, because people love, not all people, but most people love negativity. They just love it. They can't help themselves. They'd rather see a fight than to see people sit down and have a good conversation and hash things out. People want to see drama, right? I mean, I like drama sometimes, but at the end of the day, people tend to just love drama and nefariousness. And that gets their attention. So when you focus your energies and thoughts on that, well, that's what you'll continue to manifest. But at the end of the day, you can't allow negative emotions to well up inside of you and just take hold and take over. And you can't play mental gymnastics with yourself either. Now, when doing shadow work from a place of emotional immaturity, well, that's when you're not ready to face your pain or your trauma, and you're forcing yourself, basically trying to force yourself to do it because you're just really not ready to immerse yourself in the pain. And, that's why I said it's part of the dark side of spirituality, because there is going to be some pain. Okay. I call these growing pains because you're growing spiritually. Okay. Nessie X said, dang, I need to hear this. Wow. Thank you, beloved. Because I call it growing pains because you need to feel the pain of these things that you've been holding inside. You need to release that so that you can grow mentally and spiritually. Okay? This is what you have to do. You have to accept these things. They happened, and now it's time to move on past them. You can't keep holding on to that old baggage. Holding on to old baggage does what? It weighs you down. And what we're trying to do when we're on our spiritual journeys, we're trying to be lifted up. So you can't do both at the same time. So you have to choose a side. So what are you going to do? Okay? And this is also the only way that you heal from the pain. Also, that's the only way to heal from the pain is to face it, to meet it head on. Like I told you all yesterday, I welcome adversity. I don't shy away from it. I don't run and hide from it, because when I see problems, I look for solutions. I don't make excuses. You see, excuses will get you nowhere. Worrying about things you can't change will get you nowhere. If there are things that you know you can change, well, then work on that. But things that you cannot, leave them on the wayside. Because what do? You don't have time to waste. Okay? You don't have time to waste. Every day, you should be doing something productive and constructive. Remember? Now, with that all being said, let's talk about some of the things that we can eat. Hold on. To raise our vibration. And of course, we know those things are fruits and healthy vegetables. But what kinds of fruits and what kinds of vegetables? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Okay. Of course, unprocessed foods, and some of the examples of high vibrational foods are berries. Berries, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, berries, period. Raise the vibration. Sweet potatoes. Okay. Sweet potatoes, apples, lemons, avocados. If you drink lots of water every day, and you should, because remember, water does the body good, not milk. Water does. And when they're telling you about milk, remember, that's the milk that comes from a cow, which is for a baby cow. And you're not a baby cow, so you shouldn't be drinking it, period. But anyway, at the end of the day, you should be drinking plenty of water a day, at least 64 ounces if you can. And it's good to squeeze a little bit of lemon in there because it's going to raise your vibrations. And it also is going to make your water more alkaline. Okay. Olives, avocados, pomegranates, cucumbers, mushrooms, spinach, garlic, ginger. Okay. And different spices and kale also. All of these are things that help to raise your vibrational frequency. How many of you in the chat eat kale? One's in the chat if you eat kale. Because I don't hear a lot of people who look like me talking about kale. Most of y'all like collard greens. Just Lynn said, isn't Dr. Sabi's diet good? Yes, of course. Absolutely. It's very alkaline. Okay. Lots of ones in the chat. Right. And you know you can buy the kale chips. I'm going to tell you something else. What you can start doing is, we all like to snack, I'm sure. When you can, snack on healthier alternatives. Rather than eating potato chips, try some seaweed chips. Okay? Seaweed chips. I absolutely love them. In fact, I'm addicted to them. Okay? Instead of eating a candy bar or something like that, why don't you try some trail mix? Okay, why don't you try some trail mix? Some of the trail mix has like M&Ms in there, but they also have like cashews, peanuts, okay, raisins. These things are healthy. Sunflower seeds. These things are all better. Claudette says, I mix them with my greens. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so these are just some things for you to start implementing into your days if you have not done so already. Halle Berry says, I love kale with collard greens. Okay, see, I never tried that. Now I'm going to have to try that, Halle. I'm going to have to try that now. I never mixed them, but I'm going to have to try that, okay? And so anyway, I'm going to conclude this broadcast because my next one for the members is coming up at 1:45. So I'm going to let you guys go, but I just want you all to remember to make sure you meditate at least 10 minutes a day, right? You can also meditate before you go to bed at night. Listen to meditative sounds to raise your vibrations. And don't forget, you can subscribe to my meditation channel, The Universal Language, okay? Universal spelled Y-O-U, universal, The Universal Language, okay? Make sure you subscribe to that because there's videos on there and the videos last like 10 hours a piece. So you can literally listen to this while you're asleep. And here's the thing. I want to remind you all, in case I didn't tell you all this, I don't think I have, but you can you can manifest while you're asleep. Did you all know that? You can manifest while you're asleep. So you can record your voice, your own voice, saying positive affirmations or saying things that you want to happen, and then you can play that while you're asleep. Okay? You can record it and play it, have it played on repeat while you're asleep. You can absolutely manifest things while you rest. Okay? So for those of you who are members on this channel, we're going to have a good conversation next because we're going to be talking about the 4 brain states and how they improve your manifestation. Okay, so with that all being said, make sure you don't miss it. All right, so with that all being said, Sadie said, never knew that. Claudette said, I didn't know that. Absolutely, beloveds. Okay, so with that all being said, everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And I'll see you all again tomorrow because we're going to be live on the spiritual channel again tomorrow. So make sure you look for your links. They'll be in the YouTube community tab. They'll be on my Twitter, and also the moderators will be sharing them. So I will be back on here again tomorrow. You don't want to miss your spiritual vitamins. All right. Until next time, beloveds. Peace.